I've been recently speaking with a lot of people who are planning to move to Toronto with their entire family. Now, I can't think of anything more exhilarating and more nerve-wracking than picking up everything and moving across the country or across the world with your whole family. But Toronto especially is such a vast city with such a multicultural vibe to it. It's sometimes really hard to know what you're getting into, where to move, what to expect. So I really want to put some content around what you guys should expect when you are planning that move with your family. And in this video, we're going to cover the top 9 tips to consider prior to making that move and moving to Toronto. We're going to cover things like housing, healthcare, education, all the important pieces you'd want to know before you came over here. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video ahead. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome. My name is Philip Cotlier. Me and my team at the Toronto Life, we specialize in helping people move to Toronto. So if that's you and you're considering a move in 8 days or 80 days, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to reach out to us. There's a link in the description below. We're happy to help you make that smooth move to Toronto. You've made the decision, you're packing your bags and moving to Toronto. Whether it's for personal reasons or for work, it leads to a lot of other questions, like where will our kids go to school? Where will we live? What will we do for fun? We're going to answer all those questions and more, but let's start with the first one, where will we live? I like to get this one out of the way first because Toronto is expensive. The average price of a home and the average rental rate is significantly higher than most parts of Canada. It's actually higher than most parts of North America. As of this video, the average price of a detached home in Toronto is just under $1.4 million, and the average price of a condo is around $650,000. We've had chronic housing supply shortages for years and no lack of people that want to move here. That mix has led to the elevated home prices you will find when you move here. Now that we got that out of the way, the good news. There's so many amazing neighborhoods for families here in Toronto. Areas like Leaside, High Park, Riverdale, and the beaches are huge draws for families because they have excellent schools, they're very safe, lots of amazing parks, and you get a sense of community that's unrivaled in these neighborhoods. Now, I've been in all these neighborhoods and I've made vlog tours of what these neighborhoods feel like, what the real estate looks like, what the vibe in them is. So if you want to check those out, be sure to click these links above here. What else you should know in housing is that many homes in central downtown Toronto are smaller homes such as condos. If you're looking for more space, you may want to consider living in the suburbs around the city, which are Scarborough, North York, and Etobicoke. Let's move on to education. If you're moving to Toronto with kids, you're in luck because the public school system here is excellent, it's well funded, and scores quite high on international testing scores. Now the system is broken up into 3 separate systems. One is the regular Toronto public school system, the secondary is the Catholic school system, and the third is the French immersion school system. Now in the French immersion school system, all classes are taught in French and your children will learn French as a secondary language. In the Catholic school system, all faiths are welcome, but classes do incorporate a religious undertone and prayers may be included in classrooms as well. And the third one is the Toronto public school system, which is the biggest system. Classes are taught primarily in English, and French can be taken as an elective course. There are some amazing private schools in the city as well, from Upper Canada College to Havergale. These schools can feature all boys, all girls, or a mix of the two. I've made a video dedicated to the top private schools in the city. You can check that out by visiting this link over here. If you're moving to the city with little ones, you're going to want to listen up because daycare can be expensive and spots can be limited. Depending on where you're going to move in the city, daycare costs can be from $1,000 a month to up to $3,000 per month. And like I said, spots can be limited. I've had some friends wait as long as 9 or 12 months to get on the wait list and get into the daycare. So if you're planning on moving in the near future, you're going to want to start looking for daycare right away. If you need some recommendations of great daycares, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share some with you. Next up is transportation. Let's start with public transportation because there's a pretty vast network of buses and trains in Toronto proper. You have the TTC or the Toronto Transit Commission, which operates the buses, streetcars, and the subways. It can get crowded at times, especially during rush hour, and it's kind of known for breaking down here and there. The system is experiencing a lot of load for all the new people that have been moving here, so you should usually buffer in some additional time if you're planning on using the TTC. In addition to the TTC, there's also GO train service that brings people in from the suburbs around Toronto into Union Station and back out again after work. Parking is expensive and limited downtown, so many families rely on public transit to get around. Living close to a subway station can be a good solution solution or a good middle ground so you can have access to the subway when you need to and still be in the suburbs. Not only is parking limited, but the city is also known for lots of traffic, and that comes from all the infrastructure projects that are being built throughout the city. For example, we have a new subway line that's being built right down the middle of the city, and Queen Street, one of our major arteries, has closed down for the next 5 years. Next up, let's talk about healthcare. Toronto has some of the best hospitals in the country, including Sick Kids, Princess Margaret, and Sunnybrook Hospital. Best of all these facilities are free of charge through OHIP or the Ontario Healthcare Insurance Plan. Now, newcomers have to wait 3 months to be eligible for free healthcare, so you may want to consider some private coverage in that first 3-month gap. But after that 3 months, you're fully eligible for free healthcare. Also, if you're over 65, your drugs will be covered by the Ontario government. But keep in mind, dental services are not covered for anyone unless you have private insurance, so you may want to figure that out prior to getting here as well. It can take some time to find a family doctor, which is what we consider a primary care physician, because there are some shortages happening in certain areas of Toronto. There's a service called Healthcare Connect. I'm going to put the link up on the screen. This is a service provided by the Ontario government that helps pair people with available family doctors. Other than family doctors and hospitals, there are walk-in clinics that are free of charge. They can be accessed 24 hours a day if you have an emergency and you need to seek a primary care physician quickly. Next up is climate and weather. Now, Toronto has 4 beautiful distinct seasons, which I love to experience. You have a great spring, a really hot summer, a nice autumn with red leaves that fall from the trees and make the whole city so beautiful, and then a nice white winter. If you like to get outside and enjoy all of these, you're going to need some different clothing for each one of these seasons. Now, in the winter, the temperatures can drop to -20 and -30. We do have snowstorms that come through and dump a bunch of snow on the city. It's been a bit milder in recent years. When I first moved here 30 plus years ago, it was much colder, but nowadays, it's on the milder side, and the -20s, they don't last for that long. Now, in the summer, the temperatures can get up to plus 30 degrees Celsius or even 40 degrees Celsius, and there can be a lot of humidity, and Toronto people choose to go to different watering holes to kind of get some refreshment, including the beaches and different splash pads throughout the city. Now, in all these seasons, there's so much fun outdoor activity to be had. In the spring, we have the cherry blossoms in Hyde Park, which bring in huge crowds. In the summer, there's lots of activities you can get up to, but my favorite are swimming at the center islands or swimming at the beaches. In the fall, we have the salmon that swim upstream to spawn, and you can see them best in the Humber River. And in the winter, you have an endless collection of skiing, skating, and tobogganing all over the city. We touched on a few of them, but now let's zoom in and talk a bit more about family fun activities to do in Toronto. The city has many activities throughout the year for the entire family. There's the Toronto Zoo in the north of the city, there's the CN Tower, Ripley's Aquarium, and Hyde Park. If you're into sports, there's Toronto FC Football Club, there's also Raptors basketball, and Blue Jays baseball. In addition to that, in the summer, it feels like every weekend there's a new festival happening. For example, Taste of Danforth is an amazing Greek food festival that takes over Danforth Avenue. Street vendors spill into the middle of the streets and show you different culinary delights from all over Greece. Another great festival is the Caravana Street Festival, which features a parade and floats and celebrates Toronto's Caribbean heritage. Another festival not to miss is Nuit Blanche, where the city transforms into an art installment overnight. Residents stay up late and traverse the entire city with secret art installments all around. Another one of my favorite family fun activities is exploring the Don Valley Ravine. Now, Toronto is known as the city within a park, and if you look at it from the sky, you'll see so much green space. And the Don Valley Ravine is one of the major green spaces throughout the city. It hugs the Don Valley Parkway, and it's a ravine system that's paved and great for bike riding. You have tens and tens of kilometers of bike trails to explore with the entire family. It's really safe, and there's a lot of different scenic routes along the way. It's something that I'd love to do, and I'm sure you guys will love to do it when you're here as well. That's a quick snapshot at some of the family fun activities you can get up to in Toronto. I know I missed a lot, but there's just so many on the list, it's hard to cover them all. Let's talk about cultural diversity next. Toronto is one of the world's most multicultural cities with over 200 different ethnic groups and over 160 languages spoken. This diversity shapes the city's culture, food, neighborhoods, and overall way of life. Here's what you and your family should know about living in such a diverse environment. Toronto's diversity is reflected in its many culturally rich neighborhoods. Some areas have strong strong ethnic communities, which can be comforting if you're looking for a familiar cultural environment or want to introduce your children to new experiences. There's 3 distinct Chinatowns, but the biggest one is at Spadina and Dundas. It has authentic Chinese, Vietnamese, and other Asian restaurants, along with grocery stores and festivals. There's also Little Italy and Corso Italia, which is centered around Batherston College. It's known for Italian food, cafes, and cultural events that make these areas lively and family-friendly. There's Greektown, which is located along the Danforth, which is known for Greek food, especially during the annual Taste of Danforth Festival. Little India is located on Gerrard East, and it's a hub for Indian, Pakistani, and Bangladeshi food, clothing, and cultural events. Koreatown is located on Bloor Street, just west of Bathurst, and offers a taste of Korean culture with restaurants, bakeries, and markets. There are several Jewish communities like Bathurst and Lawrence, and Thornhill, which is just north of Toronto's. These have strong Jewish roots with synagogues, kosher restaurants, and cultural events. This means no matter where your family is from, you'll likely find a sense of community with access to familiar food, religious institutions, and cultural events. Let's talk a bit about taxes because they can directly affect your cost of living. Now, in Ontario, we have some of the highest tax rates in the world, with high earners having to fork over close to 50% of their yearly income. In addition to high income tax rates, you also have the GST, which is a goods services tax, 13% applied to most purchases made. If you're planning on buying a home, you should be aware of the land transfer tax, which is a tax that only buyers have to pay. In Toronto, there's actually a double tax, a provincial portion and a municipal portion, which can kind of add up and needs to be factored in prior to making any buying decisions. That's a quick snapshot of taxes. You may want to consult an accounting professional to see how this directly impacts your personal situation. You may very well be moving here for work, so we should talk about Toronto's economy and the career opportunities here. Toronto's diverse economy and multicultural population create a unique environment for career growth and business success. Whether you're looking for employment or planning to start a business, here's what you need to know about career and business opportunities in the city. Toronto is Canada's economic hub with thriving industries that offer career opportunities for professionals from all backgrounds. Some of the top industries include finance and banking. Toronto is home to the Toronto Stock Exchange and the headquarters of Canada's 5 major banks: RBC, TD, Scotiabank, BMO, and CIBC. Many international financial institutions have regional offices here, making it a great city for financial professionals. Tech and innovation. The Toronto Waterloo Tech Corridor is one of North America's fastest growing tech hubs, with companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Shopify hiring top talent. A strong startup culture and incubators like Mars Discovery District support tech entrepreneurs. Media, film, and entertainment. Toronto is known as Hollywood North, with major film productions choosing the cities for its tax incentives and talented workforce. If you're in media, marketing, or entertainment, there's a strong creative industry here. Education and the public sector. Toronto has 4 major universities: U of T, York, TMU, and OCAD, and multiple colleges offering career opportunities in teaching, research, and administration. The public sector, government, municipal services, nonprofits, is a stable career path with competitive benefits. That's a quick snapshot of some of the top industries in Toronto, but there's many more I didn't even cover. There you have it, 9 tips to consider when moving to Toronto with a family. I tried to distill as much information as I could, but all of these tips can be expanded and spoken about in much more detail. And if you did want to chat a bit further about your personal situation, I'd be happy to hear from you. There's a link in the description below with direct access to my calendar so you can book a Zoom call and talk about your move to Toronto. Now, moving forward, we're putting out a video a week about everything to do with life in Toronto, including neighborhood guides, property tours, and real estate tips. So don't forget to like and subscribe so you can be the first to be notified once a new video is released. That's it for today. We'll see you on the next one.